Hi, welcome to Rose Opal Knits, a crafty channel. My name is Erica, and today is my cross stitch diary update for March 3rd through today, March 29th. And if you are new here, welcome. I hope you stick around and you like what you see and consider subscribing. And if you are returning, thank you so much for being here with me. And like I said, this is my cross stitch diary. I've done a lot of cross stitching. I did a little bit of shopping and I started 2 new whips and finished one. So I'll be talking about that. And I'm going to flip the camera around to discuss all those things. I just thought I'd pop in and say, hey, how are you doing? And just if you're new here, so you can know a little bit more about this channel. This is a crafty channel. I host it with my daughter-in-law, Daphne, and we have a weekly podcast that's usually about knitting and crocheting and anything else crafty we get into except for the cross stitch. I usually keep my cross stitch separate. Daphne has one cross stitch whip, but she's not as into cross stitch as I am, so we just keep it a little bit separate. And we are a multi-generational household. My husband and I are high school sweethearts. We have 4 children, 3 boys ages 27, 20, and 15, and 1 daughter. She is 7. And then my oldest son is married to Daphne, and they have 4 children, 5, 3, 2, and 10 months old. And we all live in the same household currently, so we're a multi-generational household, and it's loud, and you might hear some of that in the background, like they're outside running around, so it might come through the window. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera around, and I'll probably start with what I purchased, which it's not gonna take long, and then I'll start with my FO, and then I will discuss all the whips I worked on and all of my stats. I am currently in the Whip Warriors group, which is a closed group on Facebook, and I am traveling with them through the Great Aussie Road Trip. So I have the projects that I stitched, what I stitched it for, and the amount of stitches. All right. Earlier in the month, I saw that Forbidden Fiber Co. was having a bundle sale on their fabrics. So I thought that that was a great deal and a good way to stock up on fabric for my stash. So I chose a linen bundle and an Aida bundle. I prefer to stitch on either linen or Aida. I do stitch on even weave, but it's not my favorite. I stitch mainly in hand, although I do use frames or hoops sometimes. But for whatever reason, even weave has a tendency to feel slippery. I don't know. It might not make any sense, but it's just the preference that I've found. So in the linen bundle, I got this beautiful neutral in granite. I think that's what it's called. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really see it. But it's a 32 count opalescent, which I've never used before, so that's fun. And then this is a 32 count linen in the mythical colorway, and it's also a beautiful neutral. It has like hints of pink in it. And then this is a 46 count Bristol called Glass Elevator, and it is gorgeous. I've never stitched on anything higher than a 40 count, and I kind of need magnifiers for the 40 count, so I don't know how this 46 count is going to go, but... And then a gray neutral called Slayer. It is a 32 count Belfast linen. I received 3 fabrics in the Aida bundle. I got this Dappled Moonlight 16 count, an eighth of a yard or 1/8 of a yard, and then this One of a Kind 16 count. And this is a bluey gray color, and this is a very pretty green. It's kind of a mossy green. And then there's one that I opened that I couldn't get back in the bag the right way. And then now I can't find the bag, but I remember what it is. And I just love it. I opened it up so you could see it. This is a 14 count and it's called Karen. And it's just gorgeous. I love orange. And it's a nice, I think this is a 4th. It's bigger than the other two. So, but I just love it. All right. Okay, here is my finished. I finished Springdoxology by Sweet Wing Studio. I used a 28 count linen in the color Tycho that was purchased from the Cross Stitch Nook. And here are my finished stitches. I will pop a before picture in so you can see what it looks like before I started stitching it for this leg of the Great Aussie Road Trip in the Whip Warriors group. I stitched a total of 141 stitches for shopping and travel. And that helped me get my finish. But I stitched a total of 357 stitches through the course of the road trip this year. So I stitched some on it on the previous leg of the road trip. I used a mix of DMC, Color and Cotton, and Forbidden Fiber Co. Those will all be listed in the description box below, or you can just leave a comment and ask for the list if you would like. But there we go. And it's not perfect. I believe there's a couple counting errors, but I left them because I think it still looks great. The next whip I worked on is Dear Daughter by Blackbird Designs. I am stitching it on a 32 count linen by Forbidden Fiber Co. called Forest Fairy. I am using all DMC for this project except in 2 spots. So I decided to use this Weeks Dye Works in the area around the border. So that is Swiss Chocolate by Weeks Dye Works. And then down here in the green leaves, I am using the Called For Gentle Arts, which is Dry Time. Everything else is the suggested DMC. And I managed to stitch a total of 653 stitches during the last several weeks. They were all travel stitches, so these stitches helped me get to next destinations on my travel. And I should have popped a before picture in there at some point. Another whip I worked on is this Dimensions kit called Prickly Owl. I'll pop a before picture in. And over the course of the last couple weeks, I used this whip for shopping and travel stitches. And I stitched a total of 750 stitches on it. And I think it's coming along nicely. I am using all kit materials, the Ada that came in the kit, and all the threads. So I'm hoping to have a finish on this one in April. That's my plan. I just realized that I should probably tell you why I hope to get a finish on this in April. Blushing Pink Stitches here on YouTube is hosting an April kit along. Actually, I'm not sure what she calls it, but it's where you focus on your cross stitch pieces that came as kits, such as Dimensions or Letty Stitch or Luca S, um, and all the other, ones that come as kits. So I'm going to join her and focus on my kit pieces. And this one is going to be a focus because I really think I can knock it out and get a finish in April. Okay, the next whip I worked on is this piece by Little House Needleworks called Always, or Always and Forever. I don't remember what the name of the linen is. I believe it's in the notes and description box below, but right off the top of my head, I can't remember the color or the brand, but I do know it is a 40 count piece of linen. I am stitching the piece with this classic Colorworks Belle Soie in the Mare Blue color. And I plan on switching up this piece a little bit, changing it out. I'm going, instead of stitching all the words loving you always and forever, I'm just going to make this ground area thicker and then just stitch always and then put something down here. I'm not sure, but that is a little nod to Harry Potter for you Harry Potter fans out there. And that's what I'm going to do. So I stitched a total of 162 stitches, and they were all travel stitches. Okay, the next whip I worked on is this Dimensions kit called Beach Babies. I am using all the called for, or all the kitted materials, the 14 count Aida and all the threads. I'll have popped a before picture in there so you can see the progress that I've made. But I stitched a total of 158 stitches on this, and they were all for travel. There was a bonus if you had a whip that had sand in it. You only had to stitch 50% of the suggested travel stitches for that spot in the travel. And again, in case you didn't catch it, I am stitching all these pieces in the Whip Warriors group on Facebook for the Great Aussie Road Trip. So this is probably another piece that I will focus on in April as well. Next, I stitched on Bluebirds of Happiness by JBW Designs. I am stitching it on an 18 count Aida by Atomic Ranch in the colorway Freeze. I am using all DMC threads. And I stitched this piece for shopping and travel stitches. And I stitched a total of 512 stitches on it. And that is my progress. Then I stitched on Witchy Washi by Raise the Roof Designs. I am stitching this piece on an 18 count Aida. It is the Artiste brand by Hobby Lobby in the vintage colorway. I stitched on this for travel stitches and sightseeing stitches. I stitched a total of 607 stitches. And the majority of the progress was made in this area, and you'll have seen a before picture. Next, I stitched on this Dimensions piece. This is my oldest whip. It is over 20 years old, and I lost the cover picture for it, and I lost all the threads for it. But I have just pulled similar colors of DMC so that I can complete this piece. I stitched on this for travel stitches and camping stitches, and I stitched a total of 607 stitches. some of them were half stitches. So it was more than that. So 2 half stitches equals 1 stitch. So I already did the math to convert those to full stitches. So full cross stitches, I stitched a total of 607 stitches. And they were up in here and over in here. And I made a boo-boo in this. This border is a little bit closer than it should be, but I'm going to roll with it because this whip will never get finished if I just don't keep going. And the idea of frogging that I just didn't want to do it. So I'm just going to keep rolling with it. Next is a new start. I started this on March 26th. It is designed by Soda Stitch, and I will just pop in a screenshot of what the finished piece is supposed to look like. I believe it's called Beach Couple. I call it Cute Beach Couple. And I used the stitches for this for travel and shopping, and I stitched a total of 208 stitches on it. All the threads for this project are threads that I purchased in bulk from Amazon under the Kato name brand. And I am stitching it on a 14 count rustic Aida, oatmeal Aida, something like that. It is also the Kato brand. And there are my stitches. This is my last new start. I started this on March 27th. And it is called Space Turtle. And I forget what the name of the shop is. I'll put that on the screen when I put a screenshot of what the finished piece is supposed to look like. I am stitching this on a piece of To Dye For fabrics that I had in my stash. I believe it is like a one-of-a-kind type situation. Doesn't have a name or anything. And it is a 14 count Aida. I have stitched a total of 497 stitches on this so far. That is for shopping and working towards visiting a local needle workshop. I'm not completed those stitches yet. I plan on stitching on this more tonight. It is a little difficult to see on the camera, my stitches. Here they are. But I think once the piece is finished, it'll look really good on this fabric. I have color completed these colors right here, and these are the colors that I still need to stitch into the piece. It's small, it's not very big. I believe it's like 63 stitches by 57 stitches, something like that. And I again am using the threads that I bought in bulk from Amazon under the Kato name brand for this piece. And I wanted to say that I have recently started using Pattern Keeper. So I tried it a couple years ago and I couldn't get it to work right, but I think the PDFs I was trying to use weren't actually Pattern Keeper compatible, and it was just too much work for me to try to figure out. But Soda Stitch pieces are compatible. So when I found that out, I downloaded it again for this Soda Stitch piece that I just talked about, and it was just so easy to upload. So then I uploaded this pattern from a shop on Etsy, and it wasn't as compatible with Pattern Keeper, but I made it work. I, individually uploaded the numbers of the threads, and I also, this pattern has some half cross stitches for shading around the turtle that I wasn't going to stitch anyway because I don't think it needs it with this fabric. So I just eliminated those stitches. They showed up on Pattern Keeper, as like they would for full crosses, and then I just clicked that they were completed already. And but yeah, so that's everything. And I will be back in a couple weeks with another cross stitch update. Okay, sorry. Real quick, I wanted to tell you that from March 3rd through March 29th this morning, I stitched a total of 4,367 stitches. And just if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This is not how I prefer to shoot my cross stitch diary videos. And if my life was perfect, I would just record little clips as I'm stitching, kind of like daily clips, and then I would just put them together. But I didn't do that this time again. So here I am trying to talk about them all at once, and it can be a bit overwhelming, and you see the mess that I make. But, you know, if everything was perfect, if everything had to be perfect, I'd never get anything done. So, so like I said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to be back with an update in a couple weeks. And if you celebrate Easter, I hope that you have a wonderful, happy, and safe Easter holiday. And if you don't celebrate Easter, well, I just hope that you have a fantastic and enjoyable weekend. All right, bye bye.